Here's a stat that stands out. The nonpartisan group States United Action says 9 in 10 election deniers running for statewide office lost. And most of them then did the normal thing, meaning they conceded and they bowed out. Arizona Republican Kari Lake, however, not among them.
It was run like they run elections in a banana republic.
Yeah.
And the people running it were, their number one political goal was to make sure I didn't get elected.
Lake, a former local news anchor, she lost the race for Arizona governor. She's now suing. Her 70-page lawsuit recycles some 2020 myths and alleges without any evidence that this year thousands of votes were cast illegally and that Republicans were uniquely disenfranchised by long lines. Our great reporters are back with us. She has been consistent about this. She's an acolyte of Donald Trump. She says he should still be president, that Arizona was one of the states that was stolen from Trump in 2020. She just here, if you read the lawsuit, she has every right to file it, but a lot of it is recycling 2020 stuff, and there's no evidence to back up the this year stuff.
It's a different context, though, than Trump and 2020, 2019. While there is still a well-trodden kind of media circuit to run using these kinds of claims, no matter how many times they're rejected by a court, I think all of us are different. The media environment is different. And as you could see from the Dominion voting machines lawsuit, the sort of patience some people have for this kind of behavior is worn really thin.
And look, there's also some patience has been lost by among Republicans, too. Members of Congress, people who are seeing what happened in the election cycle. Last week, the number 2 Republican, John Thune, told me that independent voters were just not having all the election denialism happening in the GOP ranks. They rejected voters who embraced that theory. So among the at least leadership types, they feel like this is the wrong way to go. But how do rank and file voters in the GOP feel? How do some of these candidates at the state level feel?
In some way, forgive me for jumping in, but in some ways, this is a refreshing map I'm going to show you in the sense that after 2020, we had lawsuits and recount demands and protests in battleground state after battleground state after battleground state. This year, there's a recount going on, abortion rights and voting rights measures that passed in Michigan. Election deniers are paying for a recount of some of the ballots there. That's their right. There's no evidence of either. In Colorado, this is a recount in a congressional race that was very close, even though the Democrat has conceded. It's pretty routine. And here you have now, this is the Kari Lake suing to contest in Arizona.
The thing about, even though there are some Republicans in leadership who are saying that this clearly wasn't a winning strategy, none of them are saying that they won't support Trump if he's the nominee again in 2024. And, you know, the poll today out from CNN shows that the Republican base still very much believes what Kari Lake is peddling, which is that some 65% of Republicans say that they think that it's okay to accept an election denier.
Let's show those numbers because it is striking. You could argue it's down some. But you could also argue that's still a horrible, horrific number in that should Republicans accept a candidate who believed the 2020 election was stolen? It was 72%, now it's 65%. Right. So that's heading in the right direction in the sense that there's zero evidence, but still 2/3.
Well, we're all using the term just kind of election deniers very broadly. Remember, it wasn't just a rejection of these people and their personalities. It was also some of the policies that came, the policy suggestions that came along with this ideology, right? You'd hear candidates saying, we're going to deregister every voter and everyone has to re-register. No one wants that. You're hearing people say, no more early voting, no more this, no more that. Tons of conveniences that the voters have come to embrace in big numbers. So they're asking for a rolling back of things that the voters themselves are starting to approve of and enjoy. And I think that's where it gets a little wobbly in terms of backing this style of candidate going forward.
Right, you say getting a little wobbly, and yet in the new House Republican majority, there are still a number of election deniers and Trump acolytes, among them Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was once on the fringe. She is now helping very much Kevin McCarthy, who wants to be Speaker, helping him try to get the votes. I want you to listen to her over the weekend. Remember, January 6th, police officers were killed. The Vice President of the United States' life was threatened. The Speaker of the House's life was threatened. Everybody in that building's life was threatened. Marjorie Taylor Greene says if she and Steve Bannon had been in charge, listen.
I want to tell you something. If Steve Bannon and I had organized that, we would have won. Not to mention, it would have been armed. Yeah. See, that's the whole joke, isn't it? They say that whole thing was planned, and I'm like, are you kidding me? A bunch of conservatives, second guns and they think that we organized that? I don't think so.
We would have won. It would have been armed. My words, not hers. So more people likely would have been hurt or killed. And the election, the proceedings would have been stopped. By winning, she means they would have stopped the certification of the election. Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that's a good thing. From House Republican leaders, we have heard what?
Yeah, nothing. And the reason why is because of the clout that she now has within the House Republican Conference. Kevin McCarthy needs Marjorie Taylor Greene right now to become elected Speaker. Why? Because he has a problem on the far right of his conference, of which she is a part. She is endorsing him. He only can afford to lose 4 Republican votes in order to become Speaker. He already has about 4 or 5 who are saying no. Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to get him elected Speaker. And in exchange, we probably bet she's probably going to get some influential committee assignments as a result. So when she says outlandish, controversial things like this, you're not going to hear much pushback from Republican leadership because at the end of the day, they need her for their own political
We would have won. It would have been armed. Is there any job in America, any power worth needing that vote?
That's a good question for Kevin McCarthy. I mean, clearly he and Mitch McConnell have said that they haven't drawn any red lines, really, with any of these election deniers. I mean, what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying right there is that she would have been happy to carry out a treasonous attack on the government. It's treason what she's talking about. So I think that, of course, the Republican leaders are going to be asked about it. I'm sure Manu is going to ask him about it when he goes up to the Hill, but I don't see them stepping away from her anytime soon.